Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this joint webinar between the Digital Accountancy Show and Capium. Really pleased you're all joining us. My name is Dan Cockerton. I'm one of the directors here at the Digital Accountancy Show. Pleased to say I'm joined today by Indy Tatler and Travis Ugbelezi from Capium. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Just before we started, just some quick housekeeping from me, just to make sure we run as smoothly as possible. There is a Q&A section in the control panel on the right hand side. If you have any questions as we're going through today's webinar, please just pop them in there and I'll make sure I put those to Indy and Travis. Today's webinar is being recorded, so if anybody would like a copy of the recording, please do let me know and we'll get that out to you. Today's webinar is going to last around 60 minutes. The idea is that we just run through some of the kind of fundamentals to Capium, and then Travis will take us through a deep dive into the product. And just to make sure that we get the best webinar experience, please make sure you close down your browsers and your other apps that are open, and that will save the webinar from echoing, and to make sure we keep that quality, sound quality nice and high. So without further ado, I will hand you over to Indy Tatler from Capium. Really excited to have Capium on the webinar today. I was lucky enough to join them at the Accounting Web Awards last year, and where they won an award on the day for Small Business Software of the Year. So really excited. They seem to be making some really nice ground in the industry, and the more people I speak to in the profession, the more and more people are using Capium. So Indy, without further ado, I'll hand the floor over to yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And today we hope that we can kind of take you through a quick whistle-stop tour of Capium so that you understand exactly what it is that we do. But we've also included in here a couple of slides that we think might help to provide you with some frameworks and some tactics for how you can also streamline your practice. And we've done that off the back of kind of working with some of our customers who have had to broach the same questions, cloud versus desktop, and moving away from that environment, how it has impacted their practices in the long term. So we can share some examples of that as well. But I'll take you just a quick step back, which is just to talk to you about Capium in itself. Capium was born in that cloud era, so we are a truly cloud platform, and that means that you can access your Capium account and all of the services that we offer from any device anywhere in the world. It is an integrated system, so data flows from one service to the next. And I guess that we were born in that cloud boom era where there were multiple softwares who were kind of introduced to address one part of the problem. And we saw an opportunity to kind of broach this very differently, and we've always come at it as a whole product business where we try and service what is core to the accountant in practice. I think one of the things that is notably different about us is, we did see an opportunity to improve data flows and ensure that, you have a central database. So rather than having multiple softwares that address one part of the problem, and they may be very, very cheap and quick to implement, we have understood from most of our clients who have moved away from that, is that it can be very costly to maintain that type of level of technology. It can be a very clunky system, and also it's rife with its own compliance and regulatory issues. So we do things differently, and we have always kind of approached it as an ecosystem. But one of the things that we do very differently is it's an ungated system. So you can access as much or as little of the services as you would like with Capium. We don't lock you in. You can use other softwares and the data will transfer into Capium, and it will still flow through the system. So for example, if you submit a tax return, it will update your deadlines in your practice management system as well. So, one thing that we have always introduced to our businesses, that the customers that have come on board with us over the last 12 months to 24 months, where we've had a groundswell of customers, all UK-based firms, over 1,000 now, is that, you know, the notion of cloud versus desktop is not really what we feel that we address the problem for anymore. What we feel the real question is how we can stop paying for underutilized technology, and how actually by doing that you learn the fundamentals of why a technology is important to your business. You make sure that it is the optimum technology for your business, and in doing so you drive down that all-important cost per client, which is one of the major reasons that, you know, in Capium, when we look at implementing or using or building technology, that it has to score high on 3 core principles, which I'll come on to. But as part of that, you know, what we kind of wanted to provide you with is an illustration of how we kind of have worked with some of our customers. And this is an illustration that's come from one of our customers, where they have mapped out the whole cost of their product pre-Capium and looked at how they could build, you know, a model that is more sustainable for how many clients they have and where they want to get their practice to. And obviously this is an illustration, you know, there is no right or wrong answer with what the annual cost per client may be, but the first thing that we always suggest, that, you know, if you are looking at still how you want to make that leap from a cloud, from a desktop to a cloud, or if you just are looking at your systems and want to do a little bit of a fact check and a reset to make sure that you are using the right technology for your practice and that it is profitable for you, then we would suggest mapping everything down, understanding the true cost of your software, and then seeing what your cost per client is, so that you can then set a business objective for yourself in the next year to say, how can I drive that cost per client down by 5%, 10%, 50%. This illustration here is just one that we were provided, but we do have illustrations from clients who have shared their own journey with us, that have typically looked at softwares that have been hybrid desktop softwares with a bookkeeping software to accompany it, and maybe a separate desktop-based payroll software, fewer laptops, fewer subscriptions, but still overall the cost per client ends up being in the high teens. And what we have done with them is worked with them on a Capium system, and they've fundamentally changed their business model as a result of that. They have retained their bookkeeping software, but it has driven their overall cost per client down to what is probably around £7 mark per client. And then we have other clients where we've worked with them and the optimum cost per client for them has been £5 or less. With Capium, you know, if you know our system or have looked at our system, with any kind of lens in terms of your cost per client, you'll know that we go as low as 69p per client per month, which is a very attractive price point if you're looking at how you want to drive down your overall cost of technology. And again, come back to the fact that you are not paying for technology that you're not using. So yeah, so the next step for us that we've worked with our clients on, and you know, these principles came out of the fact that when we look at our software and we look at what features we want to put into the software, or we look at partnerships that we want to implement alongside Capium, then we always look at whether it's a high compliance need, whether it is a sustainable proposition, and actually does it encourage the economic driver of profit per client. For the accountant and for Capium, that is critical. And so in doing this exercise, what we found is that there's a lot of commonality between our own model and what happens with our customers. And what we have looked for is, you know, partners or anything that fits feature-wise within a high compliance need, is long-term sustainable. Cloud is the basic need for us to be a long-term sustainable business before we can even entertain more advanced forms of technology like AI or blockchain or further down the line. The first, you know, marker in the sand for us is cloud. And so when we look at partnerships, it needs to follow suit. So what we say is, you know, when you're looking at your technology, you'll find that if you start mapping it out against whether it is a high compliance, whether it's sustainable for you or your profit per client, you'll start to see a bit of a pattern for whether this could be something that needs to be reviewed. And what we say is that anything that sits on the periphery is prime for review. So for example, you know, the middle is the sweet spot. So you've got something that's a cloud-based tax suite. That is the way that most of the world is going, and we've seen that become more of an issue in this last year in particular with making tax digital, the HMRC agenda, and with Mtd for SA coming fast down the track as well. But here's some examples of other softwares. So you've got, for example, the desktop payroll software. It's great because it is, you know, a high profit per client. But it may be missing some additional features like your P11Ds, for instance, that, you know, would be great for you from a compliance point of view. So you know that it's sitting in that profit box squarely for you, and it's just whether then it could be enhanced by looking at other propositions or add additional features that are more compliant or better for sustainability. Or you've got an example of your desktop software with the cloud option. It's great from a compliance point of view, but it isn't as profitable. And if you think about sustainability, you know, at times where you need to think about remote working, and that's becoming obviously more of a prevalent issue, then it may not be as sustainable for you in the long run. So what we say is that, you know, if you're looking at your tech stack, and especially when we look at anything that we implement within Capium as a software partner or a feature, we tend to look at what fits in that sweet spot. And we found that actually our clients have found the same issue for themselves being quite important. So the next thing that we kind of recommend with our own internal system and with clients is that if you can score it, then that's the best way for you to set an objective for the business that can be company-wide. We put together this framework. Feel free to use it, and we'll share it afterwards through the show. And what we say is that, you know, if you're able to assess your cost per client, and you're able to look at your weekly average usage of the software, then you're giving yourself a score for each of the technologies that you use. There is no right or wrong answer, but the one thing that we would say is that all you're doing is you're setting yourself an objective to say, if I can improve this score by even 10% this year, then I'm doing something that moves in that sustainable direction for me and actually will increase my profit by client. So as an example, we've painted some illustrations here. If it's low rate software, but it's high usage, then you've got 50 points. Or an expensive software with average usage minus 25 points, and so on and so forth. Like I said, there is no wrong or right answer for how you would do this. All we're trying to do is provide you with a framework or an example that says this is something that actually will help you to solve the more important question of how you can stop paying for underutilized technology and stop paying for over and above what you need. If there is a better solution out there, it should fit within the sweet spot. So, I mean, that's just a starter for 10. And obviously, if you are joining at the Digital Accountancy Show itself, we're going to talk more about this on a panel discussion with some of our customers who are also going to give examples for how they have implemented this kind of cost per client logic and how it has dramatically improved their profitability, so much so that they are then thinking of, you know, how they can also revolutionize other practices that are out there who are not yet making that leap. So it would be good if you could join us at the show and see more of that. And if you would like to hear more from us on this, then we're happy to share that information. The thing that we would like to do today is take you through Capium as our software, and as I mentioned, it is an integrated system. So we have a lot of different elements of it to cover, but Travis is going to talk through what is, for us, desirable features, time-saving features, features that also help you to increase customer engagement or additional revenue opportunities that perhaps you haven't considered that may also increase your monthly recurring revenue with your clients. And we think that it's a good starter for 10 for you to understand some valuable features in Capium, valuable elements to Capium that perhaps you haven't considered in your other software providers, but we'd love to take you through a more detailed demonstration. If you would, with us after this webinar, then you can book in with us through the website as well. So Travis, if you want to start talking through, and we can do a bit of a product demonstration.
Great, thank you very much for that, Indy. Very insightful as always. Welcome guys again. Thanks for joining the demo thanks for joining the webinar today, sorry. This part of the webinar will be the demo, and I intend to show you aspects within each and every module that will not only help you save time, but it also help you increase profitability whilst enhancing your client account and collaboration. So as you saw in this presentation, this is the Capium ecosystem. We've got obviously the core modules here. We've got the bookkeeping, payroll, accounts production, both taxes and practice management. We then have the client collaboration portal, which we call Capium Hub. And of course, we've got company secretarial as well. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive straight into the accounts production. Reason being is just to show you the exact process of bringing in your trial balance from, let's say, any other software which we aren't integrated with into Capium to produce your accounts and then take that into the taxes. So this is general dashboard. We can continue with a client we worked on previously or select one of the clients below. Once you're in that client's dashboard, all you need to do is just head straight to the tasks section, trial balance, click the plus button to add a new trial balance, and you'll be presented with this little screen here. Before you actually type anything in, because we're going to be bringing in the trial balance using the CSV, what you need to do is firstly download the template file available. Obviously, when you click that button, you get the template downloaded straight away. But something to note is that we are integrated with QuickBooks, Xero, and Free Agent, as you can see. So you can actually bring those TBs in directly from those softwares into Capium. The only thing you need to do after bringing those TBs in is just to finalize the mapping. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this template file. And whilst that's downloaded, if we go back into the main accounts production, head into settings, we've also got the Capium chart of accounts. The reason I'm highlighting this is because you will need to map your journal codes to obviously Capium's chart of accounts. And the easiest way to do this is by exporting the chart of accounts available. Now you can export as PDF or Excel, so it's completely up to you which way you'd rather do. But once you've got that chart of accounts exported, it just makes your life a lot easier when trying to get the TB into Capium. Now, if we close this because we already have a trial balance set up, if we go back into tasks and trial balance, click the plus button, and again, select the CSV option and choose file. So we've got this TB there. What I'll do is I'll quickly just enter a description just so we know which one we're actually working on. So we call this 1103 demo TB. And then we'll select the accounting periods, 18, 19, and create. Now, based on my trial balance, it has pulled in those transactions, as you can see. You may be wondering, it looks slightly missing, something looks missing. That would be obviously the account name. What we need to do is under the account code, or under the column for the account code, sorry, just select account code. And what it will do is it will automatically detect the account codes based on Capium's chart of accounts and just populate it on the left-hand side, as you can see. You also have the particulars, as we call it, or description of the accounts. And then you have the debits and credits. Now, this is the final mapping stage of the trial balance. Once you've got everything done, I'll just untick this because this is, of course, total and imports trial balance. Now, as you can see, this is completely balanced, so we're good to go. Unfortunately, we've made a loss, but that's fine. What you can also do is you can add additional journals to this TB even after importing. So if you don't want to import the whole thing again and you have additional journals you want to add, just use the add new journal button and that will be added to this general trial balance. Now, once you've got a trial balance in, the next step is to produce the accounts. And now within Capium, you have the option to produce 3 types of accounts. You've got the full set of accounts, which of course will be to produce your corporation tax return with and submit to HMRC. We've also got the abridged and filleted accounts, which you can submit directly to Companies House from Capium. We will produce the full set of accounts just so we can show you how that data flows again from the accounts into both taxes. Now, if you missed what I just did, I went to the report section, annual accounts, and add new reports. If we call this again 1103 accounts just for the purpose of today's demo, and full set of accounts, untick comparative figures. And we've got two because I did create one earlier on, but we've got the one of the TBs we created, click generate. Now you may get some errors in the pre-validation. This of course will tell you if anything has gone wrong before producing your accounts. As you can see, it's just a demo account, so this is why I'm guessing the error messages, but I can skip and preview for now. And here we have our full set of accounts. Something to note, just quickly, the yellow highlights are the IXBRL tags. Capium will automatically do those tags for you as soon as you click create, so it's an instant process. You don't need to worry about anything else. And of course, just to quickly review, and once you're happy with what you see, just scroll down and save. Now, if you do have any questions, guys, please feel free to ask. Dan will definitely stop me and ask any questions. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll try my best to get through to them. So now we've got our full set of accounts, as you can see, 1103. What we can do with this, as I mentioned, you can take this directly into the corporation tax. So Capium icon, corporation tax, and load the same client. Now the process of producing the CT is as easy, if not easier, than producing the accounts. Now, within the corporation tax, again, head to tasks, CT 600 returns, create CT 600, and if we call this 1103 CT, full return, full form, sorry, new return, and the accounts we've just produced, 1103, as you can see are there. Click save, and here we are. What we have here are two tabs. The first tab is going to be the quick entry. This will cover your calculators, so your profits and losses, your capital allowances, R&D. Down below, you've got your computation as well. Just next to that, you have the accounts reports, so you can actually see the actual reports you use to produce the tax return with, if you want to do any sort of verification. You have some attachments as well, and at the top you have the option to create a new form, and then you can also import brought forward data. Now, the second tab, the main form, is going to be the actual return itself. As you can see, we've got pages 1 to 11. And on page 2, we've got all the supplementary pages, all the way from A to J. And to select any, just tick the check boxes. And as you can see, they get automatically populated at the top. And of course, if you don't need them, just uncheck them. And any data you do enter is automatically saved, so you never have to worry about losing any of your data. Now, once you're done with any sort of data entry and you're happy, the only step now is to submit your CT 600. Head down to submit CT 600. We've got the one we've just produced. Again, this is a demo account, so unfortunately I won't be able to show the exact process of going through the submission. What you should be able to see is something that can be done in 4 easy steps. Again, just to quickly mention, this pre-validation is really handy in case you forget anything. As you can see, it tells me that the tax office number must be 3 digits. So I've obviously missed out the tax office number. Once I click resolve, it will take me to exactly the same place. As you can see, enter reference, and that's done. Now, with the trial balance we've imported, we've produced our accounts, we've produced our corporation tax return. We can now produce the self-assessment, which again is the exact same process, if not easier. So if we head down to self-assessment, what you'll notice at the top is we've got 3 essentially sub-modules. The SA 100 is going to be the individual, of course. SA 800 is your partnership returns, and SA 900 is trust and estates. The process of producing all 3 are exactly the same, so I won't go through them in detail. I'll just quickly show you what the actual returns look like. Now, if we select one of our individual clients, The process of producing a return, as you'll see in a second, is exactly the same as the corporation tax. Enter your description, tax year, new or amended, and what you can do is you can either produce it manually or import from previous year, and of course you would use the accounts to do that. Now what I'll do is I'll use an already produced reports. As you can see, we've got the main form, supplementary pages, and the tax calculation as the main sort of options available. On the left, you've got a computation. You've got the payments on accounts, and then you've got your detailed schedule as well. And the process of submitting is simply going back to the dashboard. Of course, once you're done with any data entry, just head back to the dashboard. Under the drop down, the action drop down, you've got the option to submit to HMRC. Now, similarly with the SA 100, the SA 800 and 900 are exactly the same, but just to quickly show you what those returns look like. If I go into the SA 800.
Sorry, Travis, can I just ask a question? Yeah. Sorry, quick questions coming here from Suraj. Hi, Suraj. Does Capium have an accounts disclosure checklist to review complete as part of the accounts prep process?
We don't have one within the accounts production, but what we do have is essentially a service we can set up within the practice management, which will work as a checklist. You can essentially set up a service to say this needs to be done before the accounts can be submitted. I will show you that in just a second. That's a very good question. But yeah, it isn't located in the accounts production, but we do have it within the practice management.
Thanks, Travis.
So, no problem. So yeah, as I said, the SA 800 is exactly the same process. So I'll just quickly dive into one of the already existing clients and have a look at one of the existing returns, just to quickly show you guys before we actually dive into the bookkeeping. Just to mention, the practice management is something I'm really excited to show you guys. It's amazing. It's an amazing module, but I'll come to that in just a second. So this is the SA 800. Of course, as I said, similar interface with the SA 100 and the SA 900, so nothing too different. You've got the option to add a page or supplementary page, as it's called. You've got additional attachments, and of course, you've got the actual return itself. So you can click into any of those lines and go in there and type in any data. And then again, to submit is simply to go back to the main dashboard. Under the action drop down, you've got the submit to HMRC button. So yes, as simple as that for importing your trial balance, producing your accounts, producing your corporation tax, and then onto the self-assessments. Now I'll quickly dive into bookkeeping, only because we have a huge array of features there, but there are two main ones I wanted to show you guys and how it feeds into the Capium Hub or the client collaboration, and from the Capium Hub into the practice management. Now, before we look at the client collaboration, I just want to quickly mention CIS. The reason I want to mention CIS within Capium is because we've spent over the last 2 to 3 months a lot of time improving the functionality. We've made a lot of releases and a lot of enhancements to the CIS. We've added subcontractor invoices. We've added the ability to import transactions. We've also got the ability to integrate with banks so that the bank payments will feed directly into the CIS returns. So we've made a lot of changes to the CIS. So as you can see,
I should mention it's a good opportunity, if you're not offering it, for you to open up an additional revenue opportunity, because it's quite simple with Capium to implement. So yeah, I'm glad that you're showing that, Travis.
Great. Absolutely. As I said, I won't show you guys every single aspect of the bookkeeping. As you can see, it's a hefty module with all the options available. But as I said, the CIS is something we've worked a lot on, obviously over the last 2 to 3 months, with the sort of Mtd coming into place very shortly. So yeah, we've got CIS there. If I go into contractor settings, you can see some of the options available. You've got your HMRC submission credentials. Under reports, you can of course see the actual reports available. So you've got CIS submission reports. You've got subcontract year-to-date details, which you can import. This is one of the most recent releases we made, the ability to import the subcontractor year-to-date information. And then of course you've got the invoices available, which was part of the recent releases made to CIS. Just to quickly look at some of the returns itself, we go into December, you can see some of those. It's just a quick look at how the functionality works. And then the last section is just a subcontractor where you can add them using the add button there. And of course, you've got the additional CIS information below. So you've got trading name, business type, and then you can actually do the verification directly from Capium. Now, that's the CIS section. The next section I wanted to cover within bookkeeping before we looked at the sort of client collaboration was MTD. Obviously, Capium is fully Mtd compliance, not only with regards to direct submissions to HMRC, but as you can see, we also support bridging VAT. So if you are staying, or if you're happy with whichever bookkeeping provider you're with, that's not a problem. You can always do your submissions using the bridging VAT available at Capium. If we quickly go into VAT, the process of actually doing a submission is essentially 3 steps. Setting up the VAT period, confirming that the details are correct by importing and verifying, and the third step is simply just to review and submit to HMRC. So the process of doing that bridging VAT is as easy as ABC. Even easier, of course, if you were to use the Capium bookkeeping, because the data is already there, but it's just something to mention that is available within Capium. Now, if I go back to the main dashboard, the main dashboard houses something we call Capiscan. Now, Capiscan is essentially a tool built in within our business app, which allows you, or allows your clients, should I say, to scan physical receipts, feed that into Capium, and I, as the accountant, or you as the accountant, can go in there and bulk approve of such receipts.
And I guess the reason for kind of showcasing this is one element of MTD is for sure the bridging and the submission process. But I guess what we have observed is that, on an ongoing basis, to ensure that you're prepared for the next round or agendas for MTD is all about this data capture. So the way that Capium done it has been slightly different. We do have a business app. You can do receipt scanning and uploads, and you can scan documents in. It is a very different cost proposition from what you have with your zeros or your receipt banks, and we recognize that some people do prefer for their higher value clients to use your premium end products for those high value clients, because there's actually quite a lot of data reconciliation that you want to do, but Capium is definitely an alternate approach to doing that. And if you have your low value clients or your clients that are not repetitive, the cost of a Capium kind of business app or collaborative tool, which we call Capium Hub, it can be as low as 50p per user. So actually that makes it a lot more cost compelling if you're looking at how you want to carry on running a software program that is cost lean for those lower value clients and looking at how you can fulfill MTD obligations. Then this is just us presenting a different way of perhaps using the technology to service you a bit better.
Absolutely. I also think it doesn't have to sort of directly apply to the lower value clients. It can be even the less complex clients. Absolutely, I agree with you, Indy. Very good point. But this is the main dashboard for Capium, for Capiscan. I, as the accountant, as I said, can see all the receipts my clients have scanned. I can see the physical receipts using that option just there. As you can see, all bar one. Close that, and to actually record or accept the receipts, just head to the action drop down, click record. And that will just pre-populate the details within this receipt itself. As you can see, the amounts, the description, so on and so forth have been populated. I can also download the attachment if I want to, using this download button here. And then once I'm done, just save and close, or and save and new. So yeah, this is one of the main aspects within the actual app itself. Obviously, as Indy said, you do have the document scanning as well, so it doesn't have to be just receipts. Those documents can be scanned, excuse me, sorry, and sent directly into the Capium hub for the clients and into practice management for the accountants. Which brings me to practice management. I will show you guys practice management.
Just before you move on there, so that document sharing piece, actually, just for anyone that's listening into whether you are considering the idea of collaborating just as, you know, being able to get the data quicker, but ongoing collaboration means that if you are using like a business app through Capium and you're using our practice management, your ability to share documents and deadline visibility is a lot clearer. So they can log into their app, they can log into a web browser, and they can see deadlines that are visible for them, and they can have documents that are shared with them, whether it is a payslip or whether it is some more detailed information from a submission or anything that you're an outstanding action from them. They have a full view from their from your desk, from your dashboard, from your console to their mobile phone, and it just makes that engagement a lot quicker. So if you're able to then say, okay, I can get this data into your hands a lot quicker for you to approve, then it increases your client engagement rate. And for us, that has been the central principle to why we have retained 96.7% of our clients, is because they are increasing their own engagement rate with their clients. So I just wanted to add that point before you moved on to practice management, Travis.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, I did a demo for two prospective clients, and you know, they raised a question about we send out tax checklists to our clients around this time of the year. How can we do that, and how can we get them to respond, because they never do. You know, we've got not only we got the Capium hub to send those documents, we've also got the client request within practice management. You know, we've also got SMS. All of these tools have been designed to enhance that client collaboration. I will quickly dive into practice management and then show you how that feeds into Capium hub as the accountant and as the client. So Travis, just quickly,
question, if I may.
Yeah.
Question from Suraj. Can the software recognize prevent duplication?
Yes, it does in many different aspects, but if do you have any specific areas you're asking about, Suraj? If you do, let me know, but it does absolutely prevent duplication of data in many different aspects within the platform.
Okay, so Suraj has said pro forma invoices and then the actual invoice itself.
Yeah, so with regards to invoices, yes, absolutely. If the invoice, it obviously will prevent duplicated invoice ID, so you can't create two of the same invoices. Yeah, pro forma, I'll have to double check. But yeah, it does prevent in many different aspects. I think what I'll do is I'll either contact you via email after the demo just to clarify exactly which areas you're talking about. But yeah, it does prevent duplication of data entry and just duplication in general. But yeah. So as I said, this is the main sort of practice management dashboard. What you can see, you've got a general information of clients, you've got your deadlines by status, you've got your deadlines lists, tasks on the left-hand side, and then your activity just to the right. Now, some of the main features, as I mentioned, would be with regards to the client collaboration, right? So if we go into Workspace, if we go into clients, we'll have a list of all our clients here. Now, if I dived into one of my clients, let's say Sony, what I can do is I can directly from this client's workspace send them any communication, send them any tickets, and of course send and store documents on their profile. As you can see, this is a specific client's workspace. If I went into Workspace again, I could see any deadlines, I could see any tasks, timesheets, invoices, but down below I've got my documents and document storage and sharing facility. As by default, we have three types of folders. You've got the client shared, accountant internal, and commercial internal. Any client, any documents you share, you store in this folder, the clients can see, and any documents you store within the accountant's internal folder. Only obviously your practice, anyone within the practice can see any documents there. So this would be where you'd be able to store and share documents for this particular clients. And once the client logs into their Capium hub, they can see and respond accordingly. One other tool within a client's workspace is something called client requests. If we go into communication, we've got email, client requests, and SMS. Client request is slightly different in the sense that it not just sends an email, it also essentially leaves it open until they respond to it. So if you do have those clients who tend to either ignore or respond late, you can send them a request in the form of a ticket. And if the status still shows as pending or outstanding, just send them a reminder regarding this ticket. And of course, you do have the SMS functionality there as well. Now, sticking within a client's workspace, just to quickly show you, before I go into anything else, just quickly show you the proposals and letters of engagement facility. I don't think I've mentioned, obviously, that Capium does support proposals and letters of engagement, but you can send those out to existing and prospective clients. As you can see, I'm already in an existing client's workspace. Click the new button. I've got my document title or document's name, test. I can then choose between a proposal or engagement letter. And then based on the type of documents, I will have my relevant templates already set up. Click continue. Capium will just automatically generate the default templates. And of course, it picks up the services that we already set up. It picks up the client name, so on and so forth. You can change this. Although it's fully compliant, you can change this if you have your own sort of preset letter of engagement or proposal. You also have the email there as well, which you can change, fully customizable. You aren't sort of restricted or made or forced to use Capium's only version. And once you're happy, you can just send that off to the client. And because they're already your clients, they don't have to essentially log in. They just go straight to their email, click the link to sign, type their name in, and that's automatically signed. And of course, once they do sign that, you do receive an email to say your client has signed this letter of engagement. Please log into view, and you can download the audit log for those documents. Now, one really good thing within Capium or within a client's workspace is the ability to actually do your 64-8 agent authorizations directly from Capium. So within still this same client's workspace, as you can see, there's a lot of options available. If I head into settings, agent authorization, click new request, I then have the ability to send a request for either the corporation tax or the PAYE. So these are just some of the features that, as I mentioned at the start, save you a lot of time. You don't have to go to HMRC's website to do this. You don't have to log into each and every individual client's agent sort of web page to do this. You can do it directly from Capium, saving you a lot of time. Now, just to quickly round off within practice management before we dive into Capium Hub, one really useful section within Capium is the services. You're able to set up services against clients, set up services against type of companies, so limited companies, sole trader, and of course you can set up custom services. As you can see, these are the default services within Capium. So corporation tax, self-assessment, company accounts, so on and so forth. Within each type of service, you always have the service details, which again, fully customizable. You have the service steps. So essentially, Siraj, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. You did ask about essentially a checklist of before submitting your accounts. Now, this is a checklist that you would ideally set up within your practice. As you can see, it is fully customizable, so you can change this to whatever you want. And this you can then assign to any particular staff members. And even if you wanted to assign each individual step to an individual person, you can do so. So it does give you a lot of flexibility within with that regard. And just generally within the service itself, you have a really useful section, which is the ability to configure reminders. Here, essentially what you do is you can set up these reminders based on the schedule you want or the time frame you want. And these reminders will automatically go out to your team members if you have them on. Remind me and my team. And of course, you'd want it to go to any applicable clients. So once you set up the service and it's only targeted at limited companies, these reminders will only go out to your limited companies. Just down below, just to give you an example of some of the custom services we've set up, we've got an onboarding service that I set up not too long ago. Now, as I mentioned, you can set up as many custom services as you want. What I've done here is I've set up an onboarding service. Now, as an accountant, I'm obviously going to want to onboard my clients in a proper way, in the sense that I'll have a process of steps that I want to follow. I've set that up based on the steps here. I can then assign these steps to any particular staff members. And because this is an onboarding, it's a one-off, I don't really need to set up any reminders, although I can if I wanted to. So yeah, you have the full flexibility there. And just to go back quickly, just to show you the process of setting up those steps, if I go into another client onboarding for limited companies this time, I can scroll down, add as many steps to what I want, as many steps as I want, sorry, to this particular service. So if I just call this final, and that's automatically saved. Click next, and there. So those are some of the main aspects within the Capium practice management. As you can see, there are a huge array of features. You know, we've got CapiSign, again, a great way to save you time. We've got timesheets, you've got invoices. You know, you've got a whole host of reports available for you. So the features are abundant within Capium. And as we've said, and as Indy said, saving you time, increasing your profitability, and just increasing your efficiency is what you want to be looking at this year. So now we've looked at the main aspects within practice management. So is that a question? So now we've looked at the main aspects within practice management. So let's quickly dive into Capium Hub. As I said at the start, Capium Hub, of course, will be the sort of client collaboration portal, allowing you to send documents to your clients, allowing you to view deadlines. So I, as a client, can now log into my Capium Hub. Now imagine this was your client, they logged in, they could see their sales and purchases, they could see their payroll, if any, they could see the corporation tax, if any, and of course they could also see their deadlines. The clients can also go into the sales and purchases facilities and create those sales and purchase invoices. And as you can see, you've also got Capi scan there. So if the clients scan any receipts, the receipts will be directly fed here for them to review. Of course, they won't be able to do anything with it, but once the accountant has either recorded or rejected, they can see the outcome from their own Capium Hub. If you remember, we talked about client requests. As you can see, we've got some open tickets for this particular client. And the clients, as I mentioned, will then go in there and act accordingly, either respond or type a message or send an email based on the request from the accountant. You then have, very important, the documents facility. Forgive me, we don't have any documents set up already, but we have two tabs here. If you look at the top left, you've got documents to sign and saved files. Documents to sign will be any documents that the accountant has sent to the client, of course, to sign and send back. And then the saved files will be any documents that the accountant stores under the client's workspace. You then have the contact section, and again, this will be for your customers, your suppliers, so on and so forth. Now, I know we're short of time. What I'll do is I'll quickly just finish off this demo on payroll, and we'll look at two main elements of payroll. Two main elements I wanted to show you. The first is going to be bulk payroll. Bulk payroll is probably one of the best features for me personally in the entire platform, only because of how easy it is to set up and how good it is. Now, bulk payroll is essentially a way for you to set up automatically your pay runs for as many different clients as you want, and that will just automatically run for as long as you leave it. Now, as you can see, we've got 5 clients here already. If we just, let's say, deleted one of them, just to show you that process of including your clients into bulk payroll. Once I go into automation settings, click the plus buttons, add a new client, transfer that over and save. I can then tick the checkbox I want, or check boxes, or just all of them, and then manage schedule. I will then be able to select when I want the payroll to run, when I want it to submit, the pay date, the reminder date, the period is automatically selected based on the pay date. We've got the reminder date as well, which will remind you that it is going to run. You'd want to have this to reoccur, of course. This is going to be the main aspect of this. And then you have the notify processes. So notify clients will be to notify, obviously, the employer. Client manager will be the person within your practice looking after this client. An accountant will be just to notify yourself again that it's going to run. Then you have the option to notify employee, and this will essentially just send the payslip automatically to the employee as soon as it's run. And then key aspect of this is to sync the data with bookkeeping. This will essentially just create a journal, a reverse journal within the bookkeeping to say that this payroll has run. If you don't want to use this functionality, if you don't use the Capium bookkeeping, that's absolutely fine. Just untick that. But if you do use the Capium bookkeeping, you want to have that box checked. And once you're done with any data entry, just click save. The schedule, as you can see, has been updated successfully. And when it's due to run on the 31st, or sorry, on the 12th, tomorrow, the payroll will run. So it will submit on the 31st, and the pay date is also set to the 31st. The second main feature within the payroll is the auto-enrollment facility we have. The reason I want to mention the auto-enrollment facility is because of the direct integrations we have with Nest Pension and Smart Pension. Now, because of those two direct integrations, what you are able to do is essentially do your enrollments directly from Capium. Now, under auto enrollments and pension schemes, I've got the enrollment button just there. I can do my enrollments and do the direct send directly from here. Now, ignore the beta sign there. It's just something that we need to get changed, because obviously this is a functioning button as of yet. We've also got the download file button there as well. And then you've got the contribution there as well, which again, you can do the direct send to the relevant providers. So either Smart Pension or Nest Pension. You can also add your own pension schemes if from the list of providers yours isn't there. You can go through add scheme and type the details in.
And just to build on what Travis is saying, in terms of the part that we've chosen, Smart Pensions, one of the things that we've done, as we've said, is when we've looked at partnerships like a pension provider, we look at someone that's doing very well in their area and is going above and beyond with their feature-rich platform as well, that can match up to what we think is happening within their industry. With Smart Pensions in particular, clients who are referred to Smart Pension have the opportunity to manage their finances and their pension through the Smart Pension app, which is a very valuable way of, again, allowing your clients to see that you're unlocking a lot more benefits for them in the long run, because you're looking at their financial health beyond what is just happening here and now today, but actually what may happen in 20, 30 years down the line. So we look at that sort of technology as something that is high compliance, very sustainable, and again, it just increases that value of what you're giving to your client. So just to end on that. But thank you for that, Travis. I think that's everything from our demo perspective, and we're really glad that you could join us today for the webinar. We hope that you found that helpful. It is a whistle stop, like I said, of all of what Capium offers. And we should mention that there is a final service as well, that we've got a partnership with First Order on company secretarial, which is just an additional revenue opportunity that you may want to consider. Payroll, we have found that most of our clients who have switched over to Capium Payroll find that it's a great way of making sure that you have an ongoing monthly recurring revenue opportunity with bulk payroll. And we didn't mention some of the other things like SMS reminders, e-signs, which you get through the platform, unlimited e-signs, and also, our cost model is very different. You aren't paying for staff user licenses, which means that you can have as many staff user licenses as you'd like, whether you're scaling up or down. It really, for us, it remains about making sure that you have a healthy kind of economic driver when it comes to your profit by client. So Dan, I'm not sure if there is any questions for us, but it would be good to hear.
Yeah, there are actually, Indy. So one that's coming from David. Hi, David. How does the pricing work compared to other software vendors?
So we price per module, and it goes in client increment brackets. So you've got up to 100 clients, up to 300 clients, and up to 500 clients. You can take out different modules or services one at a time, and it will, again, there is a structure that is based on how many clients you've got, but it can be, if you're, for example, a mid-sized practice, and you wanted to take out our accounts production, corporation tax, self-assessment, then it would work out to roughly, say, £90 per month for those 3 services. But again, what we do say is that it's worth having a one-to-one demo so that you can understand exactly what elements of the platform you'd like, and then we do customize our quotes to suit our customers. We tend to see that our customers have grown with us. So those that started 3 or 4 years back have moved up from what was a micro to a small to a medium to an unlimited. So yeah, we're very flexible on that, but the pricing is on our website, and we try and break it out as much as possible so you can see exactly what you get for the price that you're paying.
So where do people tend to start with this, Indy? So obviously you guys cover a lot of the practice kind of software solutions here. Do people kind of normally go kind of all in, or do they start with 1 or 2 parts of the software? What, in your experience, how do people normally kickstart their journey with Capium?
I think in years previous, we've found that most people would kickstart with something that was like your accounts production, corporation tax, and self-assessment, because it's the core tax. And I think that lent itself really well to, being able to then just have something that was a cloud-based tax system. And like I said, because we were in that cloud boom era, there were so many other options on the market. But as time has gone on, and certainly this last year, when people come to us, they tend to come to us and look for a number of different services in one go, which is why we, recently did a migration webinar with one of our champion customers, Alan Woods. And he'd come across from what was a desktop software, and it was a very expensive desktop software that he was using, and again, it just required that migration of multiple data points over across to Capium. So it does vary. I would say this last year we have definitely had a very different profile of customers, because they have actually seen the platform grow so well over the last 4 or 5 years now, and I think where our accountants were, the standard de facto is just getting the tax services right, and that is our bread and butter. But I guess what we are finding now is that we are having a lot more customers that not only come for that, but come for the payroll and the practice management as well. Bookkeeping, we always find that we have worked with other bookkeeping softwares to import that data in, because it has been very much led by the SME and by the end client as to what they prefer. So again, we just give options that may facilitate the accountant to exploit more when it comes to being able to unlock, profitability when it comes to their bookkeeping options.
Okay, great. And a question's coming here from James. What does the training and support look like?
I can answer this.
So, sorry.
Go on. Okay, I'll answer. The training and support is abundant. We have 3 forms of support. We've got the phone line open 12 hours a day, Monday to Friday, and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. We've also got the ticketing system, where you just raise a ticket. One of the support members will either call you or respond directly to the tickets. And then we've got screen sharing sessions. So if you're ever on the system, you're going through and you ever get stuck, you simply call them, they'll open a screen share and walk through the actual issue with you. In terms of training, we have initial onboarding, where I myself would actually sit with you for, let's say, a month, 2 months, and get you onboarded with your clients, get you onboarded with your services, any importing of data, and essentially just walk you through sort of 1 to 2 month process of getting your data into Capium, and then any other training we can do with the support members as well.
So I should add, just to build on that, I mean, the data, getting the data into Capium is something that we assist you with and make sure that we hold your hand on it, but actually the process is generally quite quick. I think what we would say is that over the period of the first 3 months that you're with Capium, it's our prerogative to make sure it's a success for you, which is why we offer complimentary training and onboarding sessions, as many as you need, to make sure that you feel comfortable. And what we tend to find is in that first kind of quarter of usage, that's when you will get most of the queries coming through. We also use some analytics in the platform itself, so that we can implement guided tours that happen through the software application. So even if it is not just you, it's your staff members, we do have guided tours and resources that they can access that then help them to say, click here, now go here, now click here, which we find is often, you know, helpful when you're training multiple members or new members of staff. Any other questions, Dan?
No, that's all the questions that have come in. Thanks so much. Hold on, one has just popped in. Will the practice management side enable us to run reports to see what stage various jobs are at?
Yeah,
e.g.
absolutely.
November 19 year ends.
Absolutely. You can produce within the PM. You can produce reports based on these what we call tasks and task steps. The steps will be essentially where you are at with the job. You can produce a report specifically on those tasks to see where you're at with those particular steps.
Great, thanks, Travis.
Great.
Is there time management included?
There is. We have two forms of time management. We have the ad hoc time management, so on an as and when basis, and then we have the service-specific sort of time and fees management. But I think it would be great to cover this in more detail in a demo, a full-length demo, to show you exactly how it works. But yeah, we do have time management within Capium.
Great, thanks so much, guys. Right, guys, let's leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar this afternoon. Thank you to Indy and to Travis for your time and for giving us a whistle-stop tour into Capium and what it can do. I met an accountant recently who actually said to me that Capium was his secret weapon. So I thought that was quite interesting. So if you are looking at moving your entire practice to the cloud, including all the practice software suites, you know, reach out to Capium. From what I hear, it's going down really well. And have a look at the website as well, and have a look at the pricing and things. But thank you all very much for your time this afternoon. Really nice to spend some time with you. Thanks, Cindy. And we'll be in touch in the very near future. Thanks, everyone. Catch you all soon.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.